What's up, everyone? Welcome to Know Your Balls, presented by Tonique. I am one of your hosts, Jack Mannis, and joining me, returning from his brief departure, Robbie Williams. How you doing, my guy?
I'm doing good, man. You really put a lot of emphasis on the balls this time. That was unintentional. Some Freudian things are happening on this podcast put a little emphasis on the no and the
know your balls. Welcome. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. On no and the. That's how I should do it next time. Anyways, welcome everyone. Robbie, glad you had a good week or a good episode off. I know you were pretty sick, so that must have been fun.
Yeah, no, I was sitting there with that can right in front of me, and I did end up hurling at some point. And yeah, no, that I still don't know what I ate. I'm like, it kind of makes you apprehensive to eat anything because you're like, what was it? Like, what did I grab out of the fridge? What did I order from DoorDash?
Yeah, I feel you. See, there was part of me that was like kind of sniffing some BS there a little bit for a second. I was a little skeptical of your sickness, and hear me out, because we recorded on Sunday, and Saturday was the McGregor fight, and I was a bit hungover on Sunday. I'd been drinking, watching the McGregor fight, and I was like, I bet you Robbie maybe just can't hang, just can't because you watched the McGregor fight.
I didn't watch the McGregor fight live. I didn't miss anything either with that guy breaking his leg. I mean, that's crazy, dude. Like, he kicked and broke his own leg and then, like, just twisted. And, I mean, it's just brutal.
Yeah. But, he tried to get out of it. I
watched the McGregor fight. I really don't drink a lot.
You were just sick.
Yeah, dude. Like, it literally hit me, like, 15 minutes before the show. And I was like, I really cannot just act normal. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? When you're like in between, like, I feel like I'm going to puke, but like, I can't just like puke. Like, I don't want to just like make myself puke.
Yeah. This is great listening content. I think that the first thing people are going to want to hear about when they turn on the show is about vomit. So maybe we should.
No, it's sports related. Like, I was watching the NBA finals with the bucket in front of me.
Good.
And, eventually I made a shot. So,
that's true.
I got it in the bucket.
You should be a lawyer the way that you can twist around and maneuver your words for your own purposes here.
Every person in my family and all of my friends I've ever had have told me that I should be a lawyer or do a podcast. So I picked podcast.
You picked the right one. Well, departing from vomit, we have a lot of stuff on the agenda today, Robbie. First, as usual, we got the hot takes coming in hot right from the jump. And then we're going to touch on some MLB All Star weekend stuff. I think, as usual with the MLB stuff, I'll probably have to carry the weight on that one. Then we're going to get into some NBA news, talking about the NBA Finals. Also, where's Ben Simmons headed? I don't know. You don't know. We'll talk about it. We also got some NFL stuff, mostly, if not all, unrelated to anything happening on the field. And then we're going to close out with the blooper, which is unfortunately one of CP3's many turnovers, but that's just a little preview. Wait till you see which one. And then we'll close things out. Who knows how we'll close it out? Figure it out. But as mentioned, let's start from the top. Some hot takes. We got a couple hot takes here. I know you're passionate about one of them. So let's just like right off the bat, go with hot take number one. All right. Hot take number one, just for you, Robbie, is the Saints offense will be better with Jameis Winston under center.
First thing I'd like to say about that is whoever's hot take that was, I would like them to go down to New Orleans and walk into any bar and say that out loud and see if you walk out of that city alive. All right, first and foremost. Second, my hot take would be, let's bet that Jameis Winston isn't the full-time starting QB for the New Orleans Saints. Everybody overlooks Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill came in and had plenty of great games, and every time they needed someone to fill in for Drew Brees, Jameis Winston was not the starter. So I know that, he had a great college career and everything, but this is the NFL, and, I think the Saints are going to run full speed ahead with the like triple option sort of threat that, Taysom Hill brings with his running ability, and between Kamara basically being a screen guy. Jameis Winston's the guy they're going to bring in to throw the ball deep, and they'll probably use him as a deep decoy. And they might split snaps like 50-50 or like 75-25, but I genuinely think Taysom Hill is going to be in the game under center more often than Jameis Winston, even though Jameis Winston is practicing with a blindfold on.
So
neither of them can, put, the two of them combined with like, a full steroid regimen and like, I don't know, the hand of God touching their heads and anointing them as the next quarterback of the Saints wouldn't make them half the quarterback Drew Brees was. So that's the end of my rant on Jameis Winston being better than Drew Brees.
Okay, so are you thinking then that we'll see Taysom Hill under center week 1 and not Jameis at all? Like who do you think?
No. I don't. Like I said, I think Jameis will play. I just don't think he's going to be the one who gets the most snaps, and I don't think either of them is going to be the full-time starting QB.
Like who is QB1 right now for you on the Saints week 1? Whose weird like cameo pops up when they introduce them at the beginning of the game? Like, I'm Taysom Hill, BYU. Like,
I think the media is going to jump all over Jameis Winston because the mainstream media has never really given Taysom Hill his credit. That team loves him. He's a leader on that team. He has a great story about how he got to the NFL.
Extension.
The
team loves him. They gave him an extension, right? So a couple of years ago, the man got paid. So they obviously saw something, which is kind of going to your point, right? They paid the guy. There was a reason that Jameis wasn't starting last season when Drew was hurt. So, yeah, that take is piping hot.
Yeah, just the comparison of Jameis Winston to Drew Brees. It's like, dude, if Jameis Winston ends up in the Hall of Fame, you can go back on record and find me saying, I'll get myself neutered. Take my balls from Know Your Balls if Jameis Winston ever even gets close to the Hall of Fame.
Okay, so question. Does it matter how he gets in? So like his 30-30 season with 30 picks and 30 touchdowns. If the 30 pick ball is in the Hall of Fame, does that count? Or are you saying he has to be inducted?
Well, him. Like,
okay.
Technically, Matt Stafford has a jersey in the Hall of Fame from his Cleveland comeback where he ruptured his shoulder, and they actually had to cut the jersey off of him because he couldn't put his hands in the air because his shoulder was dislocated. Sorry. And he came back and won that game and threw a touchdown pass with a dislocated shoulder, and that jersey is in the Hall of Fame.
Look, I'm just trying to find any loophole to get you neutered. I'm just trying.
The guy himself has to get in, not a ball, not a jersey, not a shoe, a toenail.
All right. Well, hear me out here.
A lock of hair, nothing. The whole guy physically has to be mummified and put in the. No, okay.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Jameis just got LASIK eye surgery this offseason.
Are we gonna get into like Major League with Charlie Sheen and you give him a pair of glasses and he's like the best court? No, dude.
It remains to be seen. He's just really, to me, he's been unhealthy his whole career. He's been hurt. How has he been hurt? He can't see. He can see now. He's fully healthy. Who knows what could happen? We could have like the second act of Jameis Winston be better than TB12. Who knows?
You know what? Just because I hated on him for the past 10 minutes, watch him just instant first ballot Hall of Famer, takes the Saints to the Super Bowl next year. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. They are going to crush Tampa Bay.
And your voice is going to increase 3 octaves. It's going to be fantastic for everybody.
Start talking like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think we've exhausted that one. I think hopefully you have some passion remaining for the rest of the show. All right, we got one more hot take to start the show. This one, let me just put it out there first. Zion Williamson will not play for the Pelicans in 2021 and beyond. Now, I know that there was some murmurs like a month ago about Zion kind of being unhappy with how the organization was being run. But, I mean, they would not. A, the Pels have him under contract. He's obviously still under his rookie. B, the Pels would not let go of a generational talent like Zion. They just wouldn't do that. Would they trade him because he's unhappy? I mean, look, it took the Rockets a while to trade James Harden, and I don't think that the Pelicans have any reason to trade Zion. And, I mean, I don't know. That's pretty piping hot. That's pretty piping hot. There's no incentive for them to trade Zion. He's going to play for them. He's still on his rookie deal. It's not like it's an expiring contract. He's the best player they can get for the value there. They already have Brandon Ingram there. I mean, they have a good young core. They can draft more, and they'll be fine, right? I mean, this seems a little far-fetched, but, I mean, that is what a hot take is, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
I digress.
I could totally see him leaving once his contract's up. Like, once it's totally his decision to stay or go, I could see him, hopping on to whatever team he thinks is going to become a championship team or chasing the money like everybody does these days. But, I'm with you on the fact that I just don't see the Pelicans kind of giving in to that, even if he is requesting it. Because, like you said, I just don't see where they have the incentive to give in. Because, like, if he comes out, like, I don't know. I don't think he can pull, like, a Le'Veon Bell or who else did that in the NFL? Another running back. You know what I'm saying, though, where you just don't play. You just refuse to play.
Just hold out.
Just hold out. Like, I don't see that happening. I don't think that really bodes well for your stock as a player. I think it's kind of shown that, like, it doesn't work out because it kind of shows you're not a team player if all you care about is how much you get paid and where you play.
I mean, look, AD tried to do the same thing in New Orleans, and, I mean, I don't know, man. They just were very reluctant to do that for a very, very long time as well. And Zion is not putting up nearly as much of a fuss. And I don't know what you could possibly get back in return that's any more effective than Zion is anyway. Uh-oh. Is there a dog?
Yeah, he just decided to drop his bone on the ground as loudly as possible. I don't know if you could hear it, but it was bothering me. So
yeah, you're good. Yeah, I don't know. I see why it's a hot take, and I can only see why it's a hot take after I look through the steam in my eyes after talking through my frustrations about it. But
I don't know, man. I'm sorry, AJ, but I think it's a burnt take.
Hold on. Okay, let me give my reasoning behind this, okay?
Yeah. Pull up the notes app.
First of all, Robbie, your main first example was a football player, Le'Veon Bell, right? This is two totally different sports. Like, we are in a time in the NBA where players are
controlling their destiny.
Yes, like, how many superstars have we seen force their way out from their team? Like, you mentioned it. You mentioned a Pelican who already did it. You said Anthony Davis tried to do it. He did it. He made his way.
I'm saying he tried to do it for a long time, and they were not doing it for the longest time. And he had the most leverage because he was on an expiring deal anyway.
And so it happened, right? Kawhi Leonard, it happened. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, it happened. Paul George, multiple times. It happened. Chris Paul, James Harden, happened multiple times. Kyrie, multiple times. Well, the second time was a little different from Boston. I just think that nowadays, if a player wants to be gone, they're going to be gone. I didn't think that James Harden would be traded to the Nets, nonetheless. I didn't think he'd be traded at all, but to the Nets, I think sorry, that was loud. I think if Zion does not want to play for this team, if they're inadequate at drafting this season, if they don't have a good free agency haul and they don't bring in a coach he doesn't like, I think there's a good chance he's not with them next year.
Here's my thing, though. I think the big difference is a lot of the guys you named, not all of them, but a good amount of them, again, were on expiring deals, and they were going to get nothing in return for watching their players just walk away. And they have Zion. They have him on the cheap. I mean, number one overall pick, cheap compared to his talent. So, like, unless you're going to get 2 All-Stars and a couple firsts or some insane haul, that would never happen. I mean, I guess what Robbie was saying in terms of NFL players holding out, that's what it would take, I think, for the Pelicans to actually trade him. Because, and we haven't seen that, but like, that's a crazy amount of control and a crazy amount of talent for a cheap price tag to give up just because somebody voiced a bit of unhappiness about the head coach and GM.
How long does he have left on his contract, by the way?
Exactly. 3 years? No.
3 years?
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years.
2 years. Yeah, so he signed a 3-year contract and he's got 2 years left on it.
He's already played 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think
so. He's going into his
third
final
season.
year. I don't know, guys. I'm just saying.
So this season is his this coming season, at the end of this coming season, he will no longer be under contract with the Pelicans.
So what you're telling me, Robbie, is he has an expiring contract?
Oh, shoot.
Now, we might be misinterpreting this contract.
We could be. I sure hope so, because that destroys my entire take.
But he did sign a 3-year, $30 million contract,
which would make him a free agent after this season.
Played in the 2020-21 season.
Yikes. Well, La will reverse course immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that goes along with your Anthony Davis thing. Is like, yeah, he's on an expiring contract. See, I thought he had at least 2 years left.
So it looks like they have a team. Well, okay, this might put you back onto your tracks, Jack. It seems like they have a team option this following year, in 2022 and 20.
Well, you can smash that now. You can smash that. You can smash that unless he's really adamant about not playing, and he pulls an AD and says, "I'm out."
It's a qualifying offer, not a team option. The team option is in 2022. Yeah, okay, he's under contract. But still, I think he's gone.
Well, I think we've hammered that one enough, and I think we've all, I think I've been wrong for long enough to where I am comfortable moving on. About, if I don't know how long his contract is, I'm happy to talk about baseball. Okay, perfect. Moving on. Now that I was terribly wrong and my expiring contract take was proven to work against me, we are moving on to the MLB, which is the one area I feel confident in at this moment.
My turn. Time to shine.
Yeah, now your time to shine, Robbie.
Put the dunce cap on.
So we had All Star Weekend, and it was fantastic. It was so great. Shohei Ohtani was a starting pitcher for the AL. He got the win. He went 0 for 2 at the plate, but he hit a rocket up the middle off of Scherzer that was over like 100 miles an hour off the bat. He hit like 28 home runs in the home run derby, and it took 3 rounds for Juan Soto to eliminate him, paving the way to an eventual back-to-back home run derby title for the Mets, Pete Alonso. He won in 2019, last year they didn't have the derby, and man, Pete was a man on a mission. I don't know if you caught any of it, but I think I saw something that like 60% of the balls that he made contact with were home runs. 60% of the balls that he made contact with went out. We also saw the longest home run since the beginning of the StatCast era in the home run derby that has ever been hit. We saw Juan Soto hit a home run 520 feet.
Yeah, I did see that highlight.
Feet.
And I don't think they found the ball, did they? Like, how did they measure it? Like,
I don't know.
Because the announcers at like the moment when he hit it, they were like, "Where did it go?" Like, it's gone. Like, it's literally gone. Like they always say, "Going, gone." And like, no, it's actually gone. Somebody find it.
It was insane. The home run derby is, I just wish that baseball would do more fun things with All-Star Weekend. Like, I would like to see who can throw the ball the hardest, who can throw the ball the furthest. Just like simple things that, like, how the old Pro Bowl used to have like those throwing contests and stuff. Like, those were so fun. And I'd love to see baseball do that. But, sports nowadays are so, risk averse with injuries and stuff. I don't ever see that happening. But we got a little of that with the home run derby, and I got my fix. And I thought it was good. But you didn't watch. You didn't watch a lick of it.
Not gonna lie, nope. I was actually upset because I went to watch the Tigers one night, and I was like, crap, it's All Star weekend. There's no actual baseball games. And
we actually saw Tigers pitcher made an appearance. I forget who it was.
Soto, right? He's their dude right now.
Yeah, he gave up like a run or two, and then got taken out.
Now Scherzer, I used to that's a throwback to when the Tigers were actually good.
Yeah, you had JV and Scherzer, right?
We had a great pitching
great
lineup.
squad.
And Scherzer was definitely one of my favorites. Those one of my cousins has multicolored eyes like that.
Yeah.
I always like that multicolored crazy look. He's got a wild look to him. He
does. It was nice. Dave Roberts put him out there. Dave Roberts, managing the National League side, put him out there to start because he said that Scherzer didn't get to have like his moment in the limelight after winning the World Series. And I thought that was a cool thing for him to do, to let Scherzer go out there and do that. The American League won again for, I believe, an 8th straight time. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at 22 years old won the AL MVP. The All-Star Game MVP. And he hit a monster bomb. I think it was 465. He hit a home run in the game. And him and Vladimir Guerrero, his father, Ken Griffey Jr., and Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonds are the only 3 father-son combos to hit home runs in the All-Star game.
That's really
just a cute little fact.
A nice little fact. I like those kinds of facts.
Yeah. That's off the cuff. That's not even in our notes. That's off the cuff.
Really? You have to dig for that one. I mean, those kind of facts don't just reveal themselves. You got to go.
Hey, my mind is open for all things baseball. Just feed me baseball. I'm like Zeke in the red zone. With baseball facts. Just feed me. For those listening, I'm doing this.
I'm not gonna lie. That is my number one most hated celebration.
You don't like Michael Thomas flexing with skinny arms? I think that one's kind of annoying.
I mean, just a flex. Anyone can flex. It's a very natural, almost primal thing to do. Almost like beating on your chest like a gorilla or something. But the whole dude, if you do that all the time, you're gonna get fat and you can't play. That's this. What is this? I'm hungry. You're not hungry if you're always doing this. You're gonna get full at some point.
Dude, you gotta feed the man. Feed him the ball. He's hungry for yards, Robbie. He's hungry for yards. Yes. He's hungry for yards. A man wants more. Zeke come back.
I like the dances.
2020.
I like some when they bowl the ball and then everyone falls over, stupid stuff like that. That's always funny.
Yeah.
But, everybody does it across all sports. It's kind of I don't know. When Zeke was just doing it, I didn't really have a problem with it. And then everybody was doing it, and I was I don't know. It's just cliche at this point,
All I'm saying is we'll get to this another day, probably closer to football season. There's going to be a big Zeke comeback season. It's right over. See this rising over here?
I think Zeke was random. Are we even on? Are we moving on to football at this point?
No, we're not.
On to Ben Simmons. But let me say one more thing about Zeke Elliott is he was sandbagging last year, and that was on to Ben Simmons.
That's great. That's great for all you fantasy guys out there, fantasy guys and gals, because he has some stuff left in the tank after taking last year off. So that's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right. So taking a break from NFL, as you alluded to, let's move on to the NBA. You said we're going to Ben Simmons. Wrong. We're talking about Game 4 of the NBA Finals. And Robbie, I can't help but notice that the episode that you decide to bow out on because you were quote unquote sick is after the Suns drop a game to the Bucks. And that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were saying
you were waiting for this, weren't you? You were just sitting at home.
You're saying Suns in 4, huh? And then
you can thank me. You should be thanking me versus talking shit to me, because if I hadn't said Suns in 4, they would have won in 4. It only because it has nothing to do with Giannis not actually being injured and like playing an amazing series, right? It has nothing to do with Chris Paul randomly just like throwing the ball away all of a sudden. No, all of that happened because I said Suns in 4. So the whole sports world is welcome because now we're going to get at least a 6-game series. So by the way, as of last night, your prediction is also wrong, Suns in 5. So if we're really gonna split hairs here,
but I at least was giving them the benefit of the doubt. I said even if Giannis comes back, and you were like, he was back, and they still lost. So Suns in 4. And I was like, I don't know. I think it could be a gentleman's sweep, but we'll see. And yeah, I mean, yesterday's game was a closer game. I'm glad we finally have a game in the playoffs. I think in game 3, the Bucks won by 20. So game 4, we have a Devin Booker 42-point bomb. And then Chris Paul turns the ball over like it's going out of style. The man could not hold on to the ball at all, including a late turnover to pretty much seal the deal for the Bucks at the end of the game. We'll get to that a little bit later. But, man, he looked awful. Even his mid-range game was terrible. And, I mean, Jay Crowder with 15, and that's like the most help that Book can get. That's not good. On the other side of the ball, you have Giannis with 26, 14, and 8. You have Brook Lopez pouring in 14. Drew Holiday still can't make a layup. But then Chris Middleton is dropping 40. I don't understand when Chris Middleton is like Michael Jordan and when Chris Middleton is like, I don't know, insert random player here. I can't figure out. Is Chris Middleton Michael Jordan or is he like late career Paul Pierce? I don't know, but like he needs to figure it out.
Career Paul, I'm not gonna let that one slide by. That's hilarious. Late career Paul Pierce getting fired from ESPN.
Oh no,
smoking a blunt with some strippers around. That's Chris Middleton right now in the NBA Finals, just chilling. And then all of a sudden he sobers up and he's like, "Oh crap, maybe I should drop 20 points." Like,
40. He dropped 40.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not talking about that late career Paul Pierce. I'm talking like Brooklyn Nets late Paul Pierce. But I mean, he may as well have been like just like smoking joints and like hanging out with strippers at that point in his career as well. Yeah. And but yeah, I mean,
he just didn't film it, right?
Yeah. But man, Giannis was even making like really smart plays too in terms of just
amazing block against DeAndre Ayton. When I thought they were gonna get like one of those momentum swinging alley-oops where they jam it and scream and Giannis just said nope. I mean, he's had a couple really great blocks this series.
Yeah,
and, that's the highlight reel you'll see 10 years from now when they're doing an NBA Finals and they're showing you big plays that happened in the past. I mean,
that forever. That was the right play by the Suns too. The right play by Book, the perfect pass to DeAndre. Just incredible defense. And I don't know if you noticed this too, but like every time he was driving to the lane and knew he was going to get fouled, he dished it immediately.
He was very good about. I mean, the announcers were talking about how he wasn't settling for threes and he was driving and creating.
Yeah.
And that is when the Bucks are at their best. When he's not settling and he's getting people who actually are much better shooters the ball and give them the opportunity to shoot those 3-pointers.
But more importantly, it keeps him off of the free throw line.
It makes the game go a lot faster, dude. I think they seriously need to apply that rule a lot more strictly. I mean, I can't believe the rule is 10 seconds. I can't believe that it should be 5. Yeah. If you get the ball and you do more than like 3 dribbles and shoot, I mean, come on. It's not making you shoot better. That's for sure. Like
speaking of getting to the line, what the hell was Devin Booker's foul that was not called a foul? That should have been his 6th foul that would have got him out of the game. I
This is
mean,
a whole can of
man,
worms.
that was
There's a whole can of worms
egregious.
with just referees do
You're a
not
big
call
anti-ref guy.
fouls based on the rule book as to what a foul actually is.
Oh, right.
Referees call fouls based on who you are and what time is left in the game. And I mean, that was ridiculous. They refused to call the 6th foul on Devin Booker. He committed multiple fouls towards the end of the game. And
I mean,
they just didn't do it. And meanwhile, 3 plays before that, I think Jamison Crowder sold some. He was a jump shot at the 3-point line, and the guy barely. I can't remember who's guarding him. Barely touched his hand, and like he basically just sold it and flopped and fell backwards. And when you watch it all in slow motion, it is very apparent. And if they had challenged the call, they definitely would have won the challenge. But they immediately called that because it wasn't Devin Booker or Giannis or it wasn't a star fouling Jamison Crowder.
Jay Crowder, you're stuck in NFL mode, my guy.
On who?
You're stuck in NFL mode.
I am. I can't. I always do that. Yeah, Jay Crowder. Dang.
Yeah.
How many times did I say that without even realizing it?
Twice, but I got
very similar names. But anyways, yeah, I mean, you can't just decide a foul isn't a foul because a star is the one who does it. And also, I mean, the ticky-tacky way they call fouls all year long, and then all of a sudden you're in the finals, and all of a sudden, the rules on what is a foul have changed. Dude, I want to see them call fouls the way they've been calling fouls throughout don't call them as much, you know? And then when it is a foul, I don't care who commits it. It's ridiculous.
If that was my boy Jordan Poole down there playing his little heart out, and he committed that same foul, it would have been called immediately. Any other player probably would have been called. I don't know. Does the NBA have its hands in the refs because of ratings and you want to keep Book on the floor? I don't know. I like how the Suns immediately call a timeout right after. So they're like, Book, you have 5 fouls. You can't do that. I'm 99% sure that's why they immediately called a timeout after that. But I don't want us to take up too much time complaining about the referees. We can spend the next hour doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move on to a little bit more NBA stuff. Maybe we won't spend too much time on it because it's all speculation. But the 76ers are shopping Ben Simmons openly now. And there are a few teams that have come out as good suitors. I have several friends who are Sacramento Kings fans. Bless their hearts.
I was about to say that. I think it's rough being a Lions fan.
Yeah. And I think he would be a good fit there. And a package that I've seen is like a first round or 2, unprotected, and Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley III for Ben Simmons. Now, I would protect at least one of those first round picks because I don't know that Ben Simmons is worth that much, and I don't know that the Kings would be good enough to award a team through protecting the pick. I don't know that they wouldn't fall into the lottery is what I'm saying. I just don't have a lot of faith in the Kings. So I think protecting the pick is probably a good idea, but I think a couple of firsts, Buddy Hield, he doesn't want to be there, and Marvin Bagley, who also doesn't want to be there because he wants to be in Sacramento, and is injury prone for Ben Simmons, and you put Ben Simmons with Tyrese Halliburton, De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, and you bring back Rashawn Holmes. I think that's a pretty good squad. I think that could be a play-in team, if not a team that could maybe make some noise in the playoffs if De'Aaron Fox can shoot the 3-ball. So,
hey, I don't care if De'Aaron Fox can. Ben Simmons just free throws, dude. Like, I mean, he's an inside scorer only, and if you get the ball and you're not going to make your free throws, and you're basically a useless player.
So where do you put him on the Shanghai Knights or whatever?
On the bench, dude. If you can't figure out your free throws, on the bench.
So what? Okay. Well,
that was the most disappointing series. With Ben Simmons, it was so boring. It's just foul him, and I can't blame him for fouling him because he scared to shoot the dang ball. There was that one in his head standing underneath. All you can do is dunk, dude, and you're standing underneath the rim. No one's even gonna foul you this time, and you're just
He can rebound. He can play D.
my hands, dude. Oh
He
my
can
God.
shoot.
What are you in 5th grade and scared to shoot a layup because it's your first time playing basketball ever? I'm heated about that. I mean, you gotta at least try, dude. Like
And this
I'm
wasn't even-
watching this game. I'm trying to be entertained right now. At least give me effort. Like, work on your free throws. You're a professional basketball player. You should be able to make at least 1 out of 2. Pull a Shaq. Shoot for 1 out of 2. I mean, that's all
AJ.
anybody's asking for.
AJ, did we not put this in the hot take section here? Because Robbie is sweating over here over Ben Simmons. Yeah, I mean, acting like my guy can't create, can't play defense, can't rebound the ball, can't score efficiently on the inside, can't set his teammates up.
Keep following him.
He could do all those things. So where do you think is his
Where
best?
was it?
Where do you
Where
think?
was it when it came crunch time? When it came to the time to do it and win a series, where was it? Where's all
Unfortunately,
this? I mean, I've seen the highlights. I've watched the guy play too. I've seen it happen, and all of a sudden, push came to shove, and he just knelt down and bent over and
so where
rolled
would
off a cliff somewhere. I don't know, and just stopped playing.
so where would you think he's best suited?
The
If
G
it's-
League? I don't know. You can't do like I think he's best suited spending the next the season starts in October, it's July. So I mean his season ended a month ago, so let's see, June, July, August, September. He's got 4 months and he should spend 24 hours a day. He should sleep on the free throw line, wake up and shoot baskets until he goes to sleep. He shouldn't eat. He should just sit there and shoot free throws until he starts making 50% of them. And then I'll talk about where he goes and what he does and has zero effect on the league, but has a good highlight once in a while. And then, just blanks out in crunch time and makes a game utterly it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch a grown man who gets paid millions of dollars to play basketball be scared to dunk the ball. I mean,
Zion has a better chance.
Embarrassed for him just watching the game.
Zion has a better chance of getting traded before this season than Ben Simmons does sitting on the bench for a team this year. He's going to be a starter somewhere.
110%. But I'm going to talk as I hope this gets out somewhere. I hope this goes viral and Ben Simmons is like, you're trash. You can't do anything. What's your stupid podcast? Whatever.
Yeah.
Fire him up. I want everybody on the planet to talk as much shit about Ben Simmons until he starts playing better, because it was just
because
the
then
most
he can go to.
awful basketball performance I've ever seen in my life, and I'm a Pistons fan.
I was gonna say you just wanted to do better so your Pistons can get him on the cheap.
If the Pistons picked him up, I'd be thoroughly upset. They don't need anybody like him on their team right now.
Okay, well, let's move on. Let's get you a nice glass of ice water or a beer or something. Let's take a nice bath after this, Robbie. Get some tea, hang out. Before I can let you do that, though, we got some NFL stuff to talk about. Let's first touch. Do you want the bad news first or the good news
I think
first?
it's bad news. Let's just get it over with.
Okay, bad news first. We got 2 players who are involved in some form of violence or another off the field. So let's first start with Dwayne Haskins. Ugh, Dwayne Haskins. I don't know what to think of Dwayne Haskins. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Every time I see his name, it triggers me back to I just can't stand him as a player. Anyway, so his wife and him were in a hotel in Vegas, and they were trying to make plans to go do 2 separate things, and she wanted to leave with one group and he wanted to leave with another, and blah, blah, blah. It was just some planning thing with your significant other, and you were rushing, and it got all stressful for everybody involved. Well, apparently it got so stressful that she, decided to punch him in the mouth. And she punched him.
Wait. Back up.
Yeah.
You're telling me an NFL player got punched by his significant other, not the other way around?
Not the other way around.
Whoa. I mean, it's progress.
Right.
That's a bad joke. Anyway, continue.
I mean, also, I won't talk about Dwayne Haskins. I won't do it. Anyway, so apparently it split his lip and he went to the ER and his tooth got like knocked out and or chipped or something. He's going to need some major dental work. Oh God. All I want to see next year, though, is Dwayne Haskins having to start for the Steelers because Ben Roethlisberger hurt his pinky, but he's for some reason in a walking boot. And Dwayne Haskins is out there just with a chipped tooth and just sucks. I don't know why I want the worst for Dwayne Haskins, but yeah.
You don't hate the Steelers. You just hate Dwayne Haskins.
I hate Dwayne Haskins.
It's like the other way around. Like
no, it's specifically Dwayne Haskins, and it's nothing personal to Dwayne Haskins. Actually, it's that I have a lot of Ohio State Buckeyes fans who told me that Dwayne Haskins was going to be better than Justin Herbert, my duck. And if that is not the most freezing cold take you've ever heard, but that's besides the point. So yeah, police got called to the scene. She was pretty uncooperative. He was in the ER. What do you think?
Pretty uncooperative. I bet she was pretty uncooperative. Did she try to punch any of the cops? You know. All right, so I'm gonna have to be honest here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Dwayne Haskins was fired from the Washington football team.
Yeah,
correct. He was their draft pick.
Yeah.
That just never did anything because he's a terrible human being and a terrible football player.
Yep. All of the above. All of the above.
This story is like it's funny because I mean of all like it's not funny that like other NFL players have like had domestic violence like charges like in the opposite direction, but like it is kind of funny that like an NFL player got punched by his wife like because it's always an NFL player doing something terrible to a woman. Like, what do you got? I mean, we still don't know what's going on with DeAndre Hopkins, right? I mean, did I miss that? Did it get resolved? That's still going on, right? Like,
I mean, it's almost like there's just so much pent up generational aggression towards NFL players that had to come out on somebody. And I guess it happened through Dwayne Haskins, as all things that are kind of weird and questionable have over the last couple of seasons. But okay, yeah. So
he's just eating up all the negative energy that like the whole NFL deserves for having. Yep. Let's see. Let's go through them. Ray Rice, Kareem Hunt, Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins,
and now possibly.
That's just off the top of my head. Who else did you say?
Well, and now possibly moving on. This is a good.
Oh wait, there's more.
Now possibly our Stanford grad. Richard Sherman went bonkers last night, apparently. So he was arrested and charged with burglary, domestic violence, resisting arrest, malicious mischief, and a misdemeanor DUI and hit and run charges are also being considered, rather. He was released from jail. What's today? Well, yeah, today. So apparently he was drunk. And he was driving in Seattle. He hit a pole in a construction zone and left. And they ran his tags. That's how we get the hit and run. He goes to his father-in-law.
Oh wait. So stop. He was on camera.
Yeah. And they ran the tags. Came back to one Richard Sherman.
Hold on a second. Could you imagine being the cop who ran his tag?
I thought about that
and
too.
Probably was a Seattle football fan. I mean, if you're a cop in Seattle,
I'd be like,
you're just like, holy shit, dude, it's Richard Sherman. Like
Legion of Boom, baby.
Trying to catch this guy, like,
Yeah.
They probably were about to let it go until he did all the other stuff.
So his father-in-law, Raymond Moss, is just chilling at home, and Richard Sherman, drunk and belligerent, fresh off of crashing into something in a construction zone, starts trying to get into the house by shouldering at the door and screaming and yelling, so much so to the point that Mr. Moss here armed himself with a gun and some pepper spray, sprayed Richard Sherman to protect his family. His kids were crying and stuff, okay? Or whoever was in the house was crying. And the cops were called, obviously, and Richard Sherman was saying stuff like, I'm not getting arrested. No one's arresting me. Well, false, Richard. Very false. They sicked dogs on him. They attacked his ankle. He was handcuffed, taken to jail. And it was insane. I mean,
So, I mean, he
Richard Sherman-
resisted arrest then, if like not just from his father-in-law calling the police, but when the police actually showed up, I mean, they had to sick a dog on him.
There was also some sort of reports about Richard Sherman talking about wanting to kill himself. I mean, if there's anyone like in the NFL, like seeing them as a talking head outside of the lines of the game, like he is one of the most intelligent, cool-headed, like, you know, like tunnel vision, goal-oriented individuals that I think the NFL has to offer. And like, this just came out of nowhere, like
incredibly uncharacteristic.
Yeah, which excuses a total of 0% of any of it, but it's still just such a surprise. Like, what? It's like I expected it from you, and the you is the entire NFL except for like Justin Herbert, and then instead it's Richard.
Why did
Sherman.
Justin Herbert get a pass? Like, why can't Justin Herbert do anything wrong? Just out of curiosity, that it's such a random player to just be like, he's
random. Excuse me. Justin Herbert's the biggest thing that Eugene, Oregon has ever proffered to the world.
Well, yeah,
So-
but like, why can't he do anything wrong? Like, he can't like randomly get into some debauchery. Like, if you had said
I
Kirk
don't know the
Cousins, I would have
guy.
been like, all right, Kirk Cousins sits on the sideline, he goes frick, frick, frick. Like, he won't even say.
Why can't just
Yeah.
please? Why can't Kirk Cousins do anything wrong?
Because he says frick instead of. Can we swear? Are we off the radio now? Like, I think I swore a few other times. I don't know if I can just go ahead and drop an F-bomb.
I don't know. I think that would change the total dynamic of this podcast, and I think that's something we got to discuss prior to starting an episode.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You know, someone who doesn't even drop an F-bomb
Here's my thing.
on a football sideline, you know.
Justin Herbert is the Joe Harris of the NFL. He's there. He's productive.
Yeah.
He's very talented. I mean, Justin Herbert's more talented than Joe Harris, but that I digress. But you know, anyways, yeah, Richard Sherman, man, what is going on? No idea. But anyways,
why was he driving so wasted? You know, I mean, so wasted that you didn't just like rear end somebody or like get pulled over while drunk. Like, you drove into a construction site and crashed into a pole.
it seemed pretty bad.
That's like blackout drunk. You know what I'm saying? That's like, how
That
did
would be the only
turn the ignition at that
That'd
point?
be the only explanation. But
Yeah.
Robbie, for the sake of time, I think we should move on to our last segment and get off of all this stressful stuff. Let you cool down for a second from all these hot takes, from the talk of Ben Simmons. And I think we should move on to our last segment, our little blooper segment here, which is CP3 turning the ball over with about 2:40 left. Why don't we go to this video here, and I'd like to get your take on it.
Let me bring it up really quick. I think I remember the exact play.
It's
So funny, dude. The commercial for the video. I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah. It's Chris Paul.
It's Chris Paul in the commercial for his absolute terrible turnover. All right.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
He's dribbling up the court, you know, la-di-da, la-di-da-di, la-di-da, and then it's just gone. Like, I'm watching it in real time, and it's just like, how did that happen? How do you do that? Did he bust his shoulder again? Like,
you know, he was shaking his hand a little bit throughout that game, his wrist that was messed up. I don't know what happened. He had a game to forget. He's got to turn the page. The series hasn't started yet because the home team hasn't lost. We've still got a lot to look forward to. But man, I don't even know if that's a blooper. That's just sad. That's just sad.
I mean, even when you watch it in slow motion, it's just like, how did you lose that ball? Like, he just crosses over, and it's just like, it hits his hand, and then it's just like not in his hand.
It's just gone.
You're like, what? Like,
and then you know what left his hand? You know what else left his hand besides the ball? His dignity. And that ball game. And on that note, Robbie, I think we should close it out. I think we've spent plenty of time tonight talking all things sports. So, you know, that was a great episode, man. It's good time.
I had fun.
Yeah,
You know,
as did
I
I.
might have seemed angry sometimes, but that's just passion.
Yeah, I get it. I get that. Yeah, there's a joke in there somewhere that I'll leave for off the air. Anyways, thank you, Tonique. Thank you to all of our listeners. Make sure to check out all of the Tonique stuff on socials. Make sure you check out Know Your Balls on socials, and make sure to check out latonique.news for all things Know Your Balls, all things sports, all things news, all things politics, everything. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your week.